Peace and love. This is Mike Jr., Mike McGee. You on War Without Bloodshed. We about to rap with one of the legendary brothers in the streets and in the straight rap game and the hip hop game. And it's just gonna be a powerful conversation with this brother. And we've been brothers for such a long time. He in my background. We're gonna come and just build and build and build a nation. But he's from the Zulu Nation, and he's the universal leader and the chief MC for Afrika Bambaataa, our legendary hip hop pioneer. So we're gonna go into a lot of different areas, and so just want y'all to come with us and build and listen and learn. And then also you can feel free to comment too on Facebook, so you can hear this actually later on too today. So again, Mike McGee Jr., we're about to go with my brother King Kamanzi, just talk about the history, so follow us, sister. So yeah, brother King Kamanzi, my man. How you doing, my brother? Always. Yes, man, this brother been knowing each other for a long time. And the thing about it is, look, he started off with the Kali tribe, and I was going down south. He don't even know this. I was coming from college, and I went down south with my uncle and my guy Badu. We drove down south, right? Playing the tape. He was playing the Getting Bigger tape because Badu was investing into the group, right? So we was playing the tape all the way there, and I was just jamming with it, loving it. I said, man, I got to meet these brothers. Then Antoine Mack, my mans, and then we got our DJ brother who passed away.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, R.I.P. So them brothers was on BET. They was representatives on BET back in the day, even when Speech from Arrested Development was doing this thing. Brothers was straight up doing it big. So let's talk about just the history so people know who you are, man.
All right, my name is King Kamanzi, right here from yours truly, Milwaukee, off the east. As far as hip hop, we began with actually it was called the Def Kali in the 80s. Then we morphed into a group called Kali Tribe. You know, me, brother Antoine Mack, brother JoJo, and brother our Land Land, rest in peace, rest in power. And at the time, there was a couple other cliques, Country Boy Clique, Baby Drew. There's a couple things we got to give respect. That was all during the same historical era. This brother right here with Boot Camp Clique.
You know what I'm
saying? The original Boot Camp Clique in
Ghetto
Milwaukee.
Ghetto Go.
Straight up. So all this, even back then, remember, where Mike Jr. come from Mike Sr. Mike Sr., we were instrumental in helping him put that movement together. We performed at the Mecca and opened up for X-Clan for your pops. Damn. And actually your pops gave us our first, before we ever hit the national stage, our first big stage rock was under his father, was Milwaukee's Black Panther Party, doing an event at the Mecca. Where the Bucks used to ball, Sidney Moncrief and Marcus Johnson. That's the old school. You see, then as far as my history in hip-hop, then, you know, internal changes happened, and we made a crew called Black Yard, and then that led into me joining the Zulu Nation in the late 90s and Afrika Bambaataa. And
that's tell them how you got into the Zulu Nation, though.
The Zulu Nation,
you know, it ain't easy.
It was actually by destiny and fate worked sort of, you know, miraculously. And I gained entrance in the Zulu Nation unexpectedly. Afrika Bambaataa was here at a music seminar. When I met Afrika Bambaataa, it seemed that the goals and ideas I had at Black Yard were the same as Zulu Nation. So it was only right and fitting that I joined Zulu Nation. In 2004, I was at a leadership conference in Miami with Zulus from everywhere, not just America. We talk about King Tone in Japan. We talk about Phil One in Belgium. We talk about King Jaid in France. We talk about Zulus actually from the motherland in Africa as well. So we at this leadership conference, and they announced his position to international spokesman. I'm thinking it's going to my brother Cassius D. You see, but instead it went to yours truly. And all positions of power, whether you're a king, let me just tell you right now, every leader is really a public servant. Don't get it twisted. The king, everyone wants to be a king, but when they come to assassinate that king, you finna be a king? Everyone wants to be the leader. When they come and put all that responsibility on the king, then I don't see a lot of people want to step up. They want the royalties, but they don't want the loyalty of being that leader.
Talk about it, fam.
You know?
So I want see, this is what I know, the history. But how can somebody just come from Milwaukee to everybody in the world that know rock, Planet Rock, and you don't stop, peace, love, unity, and having fun? How can somebody from Milwaukee, because they don't know the story of how you came from Milwaukee to battle all these people to become the chief MC? Is that what's going on?
Right. Well, see, when I first met Bambaataa, I'm going to keep it honest with y'all. I was still in the streets. And Bambaataa helped change my life personally. And what Mike is talking about is I used to go to New York City as a Milwaukee MC. And this is before the Smack DVD era. This is before the King of the Dot era. This is before all these battle leagues as a Milwaukee MC. And used to battle other cats from different boroughs, straight freestyle battles. So that elevated me amongst New York and solidified my street cred as far as an MC. Now as far as Zulu Nation, before I was even official member of Zulu Nation, Bambaataa threw me into the fire. I was in Newark, New Jersey in 2001. And there were two warring groups of Zulus. They actually were Puerto Rican. Oh, yeah. And I wasn't even officially Zulu at that time. Bambaataa put me right there to almost be the mediator and conflict resolutions amongst them groups. And I'm from Milwaukee. So I think what Bambaataa saw in me, it wasn't that I'm from Milwaukee and this Zulu Nation and hip-hop is from New York. It's a spirit thing. You see, you're A-alikes and B-alikes, C-alikes. So it doesn't matter if you from wherever. If we see alike, then that's going to elevate you. And I think Bambaataa saw that within me, and the rest is history. So yeah, I'm from Milwaukee, but I'm the international spokesman of Zulu, and we always say universal Zulu Nation to just show you can come from a little town like mine and make it to a worldwide stage. For all those out there, know that.
Word up. And so the thing too is, the brother has been around the whole world and seen so many different beefs and so many, from the Bloods and the Crips to all the way to the tribes in Kenya, where, you know, he from the same exact continent, Africa, as we are, but he has a special place in Kenya, just like President Obama does, where he can go back as a native son. So I want to talk about that some, because recently I had a little situation, and you know, we on these nigger vibrations when we trying to elevate the community, and you know, you got people trying to pull you and drag you down. And I really got in a situation where I try to publicly show the community how we squash a beef so that it's not a killing going on, and also protect my own self and make it public. But the thing about it is, people had some criticism, and Brother Kamazi, I want to commend you as my brother, just stepping up and say, hey man, y'all don't know this brother, no. Y'all don't know even the story that's going on, and then you sound like some snitches in your own right by talking like that about a brother who has built for our community. And my thing is, I've been using this whole Nehemiah the prophet piece from the Bible that shows that when he came to build his community, he had to have people with swords and spears to defend the building. And so my brother here with the Zulu tribe, the Zulu Nation, as I'm an honorary member of it, yes, he came forth and say, I'm going to protect my brother because we building here and you got these suckers out here that's trying to, you know, perpetrate. And we lay down laws from state to state. So we've been doing this for a long time. And so the brother has a real, we started off with the street code. It was a spin-off of Tupac back in 2006, and we came out with the Respect campaign. We had a song together, and we did a lot of shows. Jeezy, anybody we brought to town, Brother Kamazi was right there, opening up the show, trying to open people's minds. So this brother's valuable in the community. He's been building and building and building for a long time, and I'm saying dropping jewels. So it's just an honor that we able to do this, brother. And I called and say, let's do it live.
Let's do it live.
In 2 days, bam, here we go.
And let me just add something to this, because before I even get to my dilemma, let me just say something, because I deal off honesty. And sometimes I'm from the heart. Even as an international spokesman, I'm not the most intellectual and intelligent speaker, but I'm from here. And I don't shoot from the hip, I shoot from the soul. See, this brother right here, this is more than just a comrade. This is my brother for real, for real. See, when he was incarcerated for sticking up for the hood, and he used to speak to me every day in the morning. And I just want to tell you one thing. When they said they had all them conversations, hours, and was phone tapping his phone, how come them demons never played my conversation with Mike? Because, see, you put him on blast for negativity. So I'm going to put this brother on blast right now. Yes, Mike was responsible for helping the hood. Mike was responsible when that 11-year-old girl got brutally raped off 6 in Melvina, and we was damn near in tears, and he was damn near in tears because we got daughters, and the police were acting very docile and moving slow. Mike, with the help of the Nation of Islam, progressive Christian movements, and the people, helped mobilize the hood. I was there. Where were you? When everything was going against the black community, Mike wasn't just a leader for the 6th district. He was a leader for all Milwaukee. I was there. And when they locked him up, did you look into Mama Mike's eyes, his mom, Miss McGee, his mother? Did you see the hurt and pain? Did you see the hurt and pain in John, which is his brother, and his kids? You weren't there. You didn't see that. I felt that. Remember, there's a lot of sacrifices and time you could never get back when you're in the struggle.
This young lady right here, I don't know if we don't even blast on the tape, but she counted, you know, that girl was 4 years old.
4 years old.
At the time. So,
see, it's personal, but it's universal for me. So this is my comrade. I'm going to roll with him unconditionally. unconditionally. If you attack him, you attacking me, because I've known his character. If you helping the community is consistent and someone tells that you did this and this, I got to go with the action of the mic that I know, not of slander. And all those other people, you have a problem with me or my brother, anyone, let's delegate as men, as human beings, and come together and talk about it. Don't put out this Twitter beef, the social media propaganda and slander, because that's another thing the devil does. You see, we always talk about the differences, but in mathematics you can't add fractions unless we have a common denominator. So let's talk about the 1, because 1 is the most important number, because 1 is the only other number mathematically, and every other number, that oneness. I am because we are.
That's right.
It's oneness.
The origins of number 1 is God is 1.
God
So
is
2
one.
is the number of the devil. That's that division number.
Division.
And 6 is the number of the devil for sure. So what I want to do is talk about squashing beef. And
Yes,
then
sir.
that's what you've been known to do in the community with the Peace Code. Now, we started with the Street Code, we evolved into the Peace Code, where Brother Kamanzi has been given some spiritual enlightenment by God recently to just even design. You designed this right here, brother?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This, and I'm going to break this down. First of all, before I even get into this came out of a headache. I'm not no preacher, no prophet, no nothing. I'm regular like you. You see my crib is ghetto scientific too. I had a headache at 4:30 in the morning. And when I woke up, I took a marker and a piece of paper, a couple plates, that's how I got the circle, and a ruler, and I went to work. Now, what does all this mean? See, the most divine thing is very simple. First of all, in the middle, you have the 11 points of light. 11 is also a number which represents the spiritual messenger. 11 is a high frequency vibrational number. We take the 6 of the folk nation and the 5 of the people nation. The folk say all is one. People say all is well. When we combine both of them together, we get the 11. Now, in that 11 represents all nations. And then, of course, in the Zulu nation, which is on the shield, we have the peace wheel. This means in Kuthula, that's peace in Zulu. This is in Katha. That means unity in Zulu. This is Uthkanda. That's love in Zulu. And then, of course, you have the different signs and symbols. This is an Akan symbol, which means reconciliation. This is another Akan symbol, which means the interlinking of human relations. And, of course, this means love. Love never loses its way home, and love is the most powerful force in the universe. At the end of this, we get what we call the transformation circle. Amazulu and the universal Zulu nation means people of the heavens. We have the party face of Zulu Nation and the wisdom face. But more importantly, and I can go much deeper in depth, I have a study guide and an application manual. But before we even get that deep, let's go to the 11-point peace pledge. All right? Number 1, I pledge to love myself and humanity. Number 2, I pledge to promote peace where and wherever possible. 3, I pledge to refrain from all negative activities. 4, I pledge to refrain from senseless and mindless acts of violence. 5, I pledge to aid and assist all children and elderly whenever possible. 6, I pledge to make education a focus of my life. 7, I pledge not to engage in gossip, slander, and rumors of war. 8, I pledge to keep all schools, playgrounds, and parks safe zones for children. 9, I pledge to use conflict resolution and mediation instead of violence. 10, I pledge to lead my community through positive example. And the most important, which is 11, I pledge to make this peace code a reality and not just words. And what I've done is, I've done nothing. I was used as a vehicle for something to come through. Now, when you take this, in fact, let me break this down a little bit more. Let's come over here. Real quick.
We're going to go through it.
When I turn this to the side, what does this look like to y'all? What animal is this? Anyone see what?
Spider?
Little
No,
turtle.
Turtle.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check this out. What's so significant about a turtle? A turtle is very significant. And what's so deep about
Moves
this,
deliberately,
It's
slow.
I never meant this to look like a turtle. I had this peace code like I just explained to you. My son saw this sideways and said, "Daddy, that looks like a turtle." So when he told me that, I said, "A turtle?" And I went back and I started to research the significance of what a turtle is. All right? First of all, in ancient Kemet, which y'all call Egypt, but its proper name is Kemet, the turtle was meant to ward off evil. Amulets and objects with depiction of turtles represent it as a force to defend health and life. Temple builders. All right, turtle is called Shitua or Shitwa. In African symbology, a turtle is the most cleverest animal. Mzee, Swahili word for wise man. There's also a 130-year-old turtle in southern parts of Africa, which gives all the animals their name. And actually, the Funakazi gives animals their color. And then there's another tortoise in West Africa under the Yoruba system, which also represents wisdom. In ancient China, a turtle is one of the 4 fabulous animals You understand? Which represents the 4 points of the compass. The black turtle, check this out. The black turtle is the ruler of the north, endurance, strength, and longevity. And this goes back to the Shang dynasty. If you do your research, the Shang dynasty was a black dynasty. That's how we get the Asiatic connection of black and Asians. And if we knew that, the Asians would know they come from us as the Asiatic original people. All right? Now, in Islam, the Sufism, they say the return of the baby turtle to the sea is a symbolic meaning to returning to God's guidance. And there's a Quranic verse dedicated to it. Now, in ancient Native American culture, a turtle bears the burden of the world. So what we're saying in this universal Zulu Nation shield, that when you put it to the side, such like this, it looks like a turtle. It can actually be broke down into a children's story. All right? And the turtle has to bear the burden of everyone. So we'll take the burden of the folk nation and the people nation on our back. As long as they deal with peace, unity, and love. We're anti-drug, we're anti-crime, we're anti-violence and negativity. But we embrace all the lords and gangsters and moles and BDs and everybody under the 5 and the 6 to come together under the Zulu house of unity, peace, and love. And from that we'll have a unity and a oneness. Because unity is an action, it's not a concept. Peace is an action, it's not a concept. Love is an action, it is not a concept. What does unity look like? We always talk about we want unity. Well, we talk that, but we don't know what it looks like. Unity would be to have a party and have security be a GD and a vice lord. Unity would be to have something together, so we come together for the fulfillment of one aim and one bond. That's what we're talking about, because really the black nation hasn't had unity actually since segregation. And that was just slighted unity. It was a forced unity because we were forced to depend on ourselves economically, which we're going to have to go back to doing. You see? Because we always talk about integrate what? So that we can take the money and integrate it right in our communities. The black dollar only circulates what? 1.5 to maybe 2.5 times. And the Chinese and the Jewish and other ethnic minority groups, so-called, it circulates a lot more. So it's an economic empowerment because it's not about black power. It's about black empowerment. We don't want to just raise up the fist. We want land. We want to be able to govern ourselves and control our destiny without government assistance. Go for self, black man and black woman. That's what time we're dealing with. So this peace unity code, and it's not just for blacks. Originals, because really there's no such race called black and white. That's another misconception. We're original indigenous people. We call it Asiatic. Some people want to say Africa. I'm not scared about Africa. See, I am African. You know what I'm saying? Don't let the skin color fool you. In real life, from Kenya and also spiritually, like everyone over here is from Africa. I don't care if your mama and them was from Mississippi, Arkansas. You have an African spiritual vibration that's even deeper than Christianity and Islam, which are also African schools of thought. But this right here, this shield, is to also shield us and ward us off from negative energy, because we're fighting against a beast that's much deeper than what you think. See, it's deeper than white supremacy. White supremacy is just a worldwide system in place of it, and you are deeper and greater than white supremacy. That white supremacist beast cannot destroy you. You are the makers and owners of planet Earth. We get so caught up in the enemy and the problem that we have no solution building. See, I'm not saying this can do anything if you don't get up off your couch and make it work. You see, I'm not saying this is going to save anybody, because guess what? Only people save people. Ideas don't save people. It's interactive and it's a proactive thing where you have to get up and do for self and help those. But it's also to bless all humanity, because as you see, we even have the symbol of peace in Mandarin Chinese. Because when people see this, the Chinese know, wait a minute, this means peace. And people of every nation, we even have salam, peace in Arabic, shalom, peace in Hebrew, hotep, peace in Comedian, amani, peace in Swahili. The same way right here, emoja, that's Swahili for unity. In Kasa, that's Yoruba for unity. And Ikad is actually Hebrew for unity, and Wahada is actually Arabic for unity. I specifically broke it down like this and always put the Arabic and the Hebrew by each other, because Islam and Christianity keep fighting each other. So I'm forcing them together, because worldwide, if you know that Muslims descend from Ishmael and Hebrews descend from Isaac, you both come from the house of Abraham. Why would you fight? The terrorist attack just happened in Brussels. You're not real Muslims. All right? Islam doesn't preach death. The same way that the Ku Klux Klan, the so-called Christians, are not real Christians. They're not Christ-like. The same way these so-called Muslims are not, peace and blessings of Prophet Muhammad-like. All right? So stop talking about this and walk this walk, because all religions and spiritual systems are proactive. If you're a Christian, you better be Christ-like. If you're a Muslim, you better get out like Prophet Muhammad and do the works. You can't just read the Quran. You can't just read the Bible and quote. I'm tired of quoteologists. The people right here, They need doers and movers and shakers.
Who you?
And it's not just a black thing, because I got some progressive white people and Asian people, and they come aboard too. But before I can unify and organize with them, it is mandatory I must organize amongst my own first. Self-love is important. I can't love humanity unless I love myself, which is also the first code, the first number on the peace code is to love myself and then humanity. Now, if you go to the 5 and 6, the L, love, is the first point on both stars of both nations. So we talk about, yeah, people's love. We talk about, yeah, folks, love. But you selling dope, you trapping. Not all my brothers and sisters, but let's get real. This has nothing to do with negative energy. If all the 5 would follow they love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, if the 6 would follow they love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, in spirit, we would have no problems. We could go reduce the criminal rate and the recidivism rate in the penitentiary. We could reduce violence, and ultimately we could be the ultimate conflict resolutionists and peacekeepers and mediators, because that's what time it is right now. We're trying to stop the beef. Well, how do you stop the beef? You have to learn to break bread with those. The problem is this too. There is a disconnect in our community between the elders and the youth. There's a disconnect in the gang structure between the chiefs that's locked up and still holding it down, the structure, and those in the hood that's trapping. See, the young cats feel, if I got my little clique with me and 100 niggas ready to go to war with me, and I got guns and I'm giving them work and that illegal money, I am the chief. What I got to check in with Chief behind bars, he done had his time, it's my time, all right? And it sounds good until you get locked up and got to go report in the penitentiary and check in with them 5-star elites and them regents and them kings and them governors, and then it's not sweet anymore. So can we make this connect where it's not a forced and desperate connect? Can we connect on the outside so the older brothers and OGs can embrace the young ones, not boss them, not have dictatorial power over them, but say, listen, man, some of the things you're doing ain't right and exact. Let me cuff you to elevate you, not to control you. Yeah, this is your time. We had our time, but in order for you to elevate yourself in your time, you need the guidance of those, your predecessors who came before you. You see, in the Zulu nation, Shaka Zulu, in the ancient Zulu nation of South Africa, Shaka Zulu organized everything according to age sets. So if we grew up at 15, by the time we got to 30 years old, we've been a soldier with each other for 15 years. Like me and this brother are similar age. Our children are similar age. All right? Our fathers are similar age. So all the elders are bound together by a certain kinship and bond based on the age and experiences they had to go through. Likewise, the warriors are. See, we're at the age now, it's the 11th hour. That's why we call it the 11 points of light. 11 also symbolic of a sense of urgency. It's the 11th hour we must get done before time is completed. Now, this 11th hour is not 60 minutes. I'm talking about it's symbolic for black people, especially in the Western America. We at our 11th hour. We have to do this or we shall perish. But it's also by destiny and divine right, we won't perish, because they tried AIDS, they tried crack, they tried black on black genocide and weapons and heroin, and they couldn't destroy you, black man and woman and child. So that means that you are the makers and owners. You were there from the beginning. But we don't want to just live to say we live. Now can we get up out this hellhole we've been in and really live according to our true divine principles and purpose? And that's why we here.
Amen.
And that ain't even it. Do y'all understand what's going on in Milwaukee? Do y'all see the jewel that we have? I'm talking about we got some real powerful talent. So we don't come to you in the wisdom of men. This is the spirit of God upon you. So check this out. This brother, I want you to go into something that you really did. See, you might just hear that he just saying all these different things and you want to go back and learn and study some of them, but listen to this practical situation that happened. Now look, a few years ago, I look at my inbox on Facebook. This brother, Kamazi, says, he reaches out to me, so he got to be my brother. He over in Africa, he over in Kenya, saying, Mike, I might not make it back, but if I don't make it back, I want you to tell people my story. And then I was like, what? And I, went back at him. And so he gave me the information because I never heard back from the brother. I was wondering what the heck had happened. Right. So, brother, go into that, because the lack of our knowledge for and love for each other is not just in Wisconsin, it's not just in America. Black folks hate each other everywhere, but the brothers that's fighting over in Africa have something that they're really fighting for. They're really fighting for freedom. They really fight for resources. They fight for governments and kingdoms. Here, we fighting for who got the Jordans, who got the best clothes, who can stun on another person, talk about them on Facebook, whatever it is. So it's real petty. So we got to elevate. But brother, talk about that situation and how practical it was and how you was able to come and be involved in it, coming from America and how they even look, just the thoughts of how they even look at you as a brother.
Man, well, you know, my father's from Kenya. My father, Professor Dari, many of y'all know him. He taught at UWM for years. In 2014, I went back to see my father. He retired. He went back to his home, which is Kenya. When I went back, you know, to see him, the whole purpose of the trip was just to see my father. I wasn't going back to start no Zulu Nation to do anything like that. I was just going back basically to see my pops and reconnect home. When I got there, it was almost like, you know, we always go back like we want to take something from Africa. Even Black Americans come reclaim our root. I was called back to Africa, and I was called back to serve, to come back to my continent, and I had no knowledge of what was about to befall me. It all started one day at a party with a DJ, and I hooked up with a couple of brothers in the Kenyan hip-hop scene. So the next couple of days, I went to a studio. Now, me going to the studio, we began to record songs. Simple, nothing major, just a hip-hop thing. But in the course of what was going on, a lot of different brothers from tribal nations were coming in. Now, the universal Zulu Nation, or the term Zulu Nation, doesn't come from East Africa. Kenya's in East Africa, comes from South Africa. So for me to start a Zulu Nation in East Africa and Kenya, well, that's not even an original tribal name, could get you in trouble, maybe even get you whacked. But we don't deal off fear, which is false evidence appearing real, because guess what, planet Earth? I love my life, but one day even I shall pass from this physical form. And I'm almost promised today, I'm not even promised tomorrow. So what we do in the meantime, in between time, is critical. So what happened is, one day, I had a talk with brothers, and they wanted me to start a universal Zulu Nation in Kenya. The brothers and sisters from the tribe of Kamba, Kikuyu, Kalenjin, Digo, Giriama, Maasai, you know, the 9 tribes of the coast, and countless other tribes. So I said, okay, we're going to do it. And as we spoke, everything was powerful. A brother pulled me at the end of the conversation when everybody left. A brother pulled me in the back room and had this worried look. And it sort of like threw me off, because here's a great thing. We just got done talking about unity and how these tribal nations, we're going to form a universal Zulu Nation in Kenya. And the brother looked and he said, Kamanzi, there's something I have to tell you. I said, what you have to tell me? He said, I'm sort of worried about your well-being. I said, me? I'm good. He said, no, you don't understand. He said, right now, these are very political. There's a lot of political turmoil in Kenya right now. They'll see you as trying to start some type of youth movement to oppose the government. And that's not what I was doing. They said, they'll see you as trying to create some type of extreme group, and even though I was doing positive things, anything that resists the order and the way of life, because even the African leaders, they want to divide and conquer so they can pad their pockets. They want just their own tribe to be in power, just like America. So let's say you get a tribe of Kikuyu. Now, Kikuyu gonna give all, or whatever tribe, I don't even want to go tribe specific and tribal name, but one tribe will put everybody in a position of power. That means that all the other tribes aren't in a position of power, which is no unity. Again, it's the same corruption, which is a form of neo-colonialism set up when the European came in and pitted us against each other. So as I'm talking to the brother and it got real deep, yeah, I'm thinking about, man, I might get whacked in the motherland. I got 5 kids, I can't afford this. But then something else took over me again, that sense of fear and that sense of, worry. It dissipated. And I saw an opportunity to unite all those tribes I just talked about in Kenya under the hip-hop banner, not under a political movement, not under a religious movement, because we had Christians, Muslim, traditional African religion, all these youth from different tribal nations come together. So the last thing he said, Kimanzi, but you must be careful, because on your passport, you don't have American name. Your name is Kimanzi Mandandu Adari, which means they'll see you as an African, and then they might kill you and throw you on a truck with the rest of us. And I was actually happy for that. Not that that would happen, that means, wait a minute, so I could die in Africa for unity? They'll throw me, you know what I'm saying? You don't know what, people far away don't know what I am. Is he an Arab? Is he Puerto Rican? You know what I'm saying? They'll throw my yellow self or my African brothers and sisters. Good thing, because guess what? It's easy to die, but it's hard to live. And I couldn't let that fear stop a great thing. And when I said that, an elder who was in the next room, I didn't even know he was listening to the conversation, ran in there and said, that is it. That is what I've been thinking about all day. That is the answer. He said, life is hard, death is easy. So all those revolutionary suicide people, it's easy to kill yourself. That's nothing. Try to live every day. This takes a stronger man to live every day. Death is final. It's a one-shot thing and you're gone. But life is ever constant until you cross over. It's much harder to live than it is to die. And I just want to let everyone know that the African brothers and sisters who aided and abetted me and assisted me, Ashe, Hotep, Habari Gandhi, because we formed a type of unity that can't be broken. And I saw all different tribal nations, and this was small. I had no resources, I had no plan, action plan. This was something that the Spirit brought us together. So when I wrote that message, I wasn't saying this might happen, but I'm saying if something does happen, you said, no, this and this and this. And only a few brothers got that message. Yeah. You know, one brother posted it, so went over, like the brothers like yourself and a couple of brothers I specifically inboxed, is like family because of the struggle. If something does happen to me, take this, add it to what we do in here, because this might be a template or a plug-in for our call to unity right here in America, because Africa's divided too, and they're all black, they're all African, and it's still divided because of tribalism. So I'm saying, black man and woman, you are one, the common denominator. We keep going back to mathematics. You can't add different fractions with a different common denominator or multiply. You gotta have the same common denominator, which is what? Our history, our struggle, our divine purpose. And so Africa, it was deep. Because like I said at the time, I'm talking about it now like it's all good. I didn't know if something might happen. Because a lot of mysterious things were happening in Kenya at that time. People speaking against the government were found missing or found later, you know, bodies spread in 5 different directions. A lot of funny stuff was happening, just like in America. Because when you pose evil and you're positive, well, no, opposites attract. Positive, extreme positivity is going to attract extreme negativity. Amen. Just be ready for it. Christ had to deal with it. Prophet Muhammad had to deal with it. Again, y'all want to be prophets and kings, but don't want them assassination attempts. Oh, I get it. You want them riches, but you don't want to deal with them stitches. I understand.
Word. So look. Cypher for nights and nights alone, and we'll go around the room and just be going in for hours. So I'm gonna go in with this brothers. Put down the knife, put down the gun. Put down the knife and put down the gun.
Unite all my daughters and unite all my sons. And then we go speak unification. And then we go rise the black nation. And no more slave, no plantation. A bigger black woman from creation. And down in Genesis and Revelation. And then me a hold for meditation. I'll break it down from reggae, from my community. Then I'll really break down about black unity. In other words, you know I got the light sword. Unite the GDs with the vice lords. 11 points of light. Because I'm light though. In other words, I break it down. Not no light show, never got no light flow. And then I'm right though. Another type of style, never going psycho. Peace to the daughters and sons, waters of funds. And every time I come out when the water will run. And then I syncopate that up from the motherland, stretched like a rubber band. Never with some other bands. I'm not money, I'm not Chief Keef, but I can rock like Beat Street, Africa Bambaataa. I am old school. I told you whenever me and Mike roll through, and all them haters, you stop that now. Were you there when Mike had to lock that down? Did you look at his mother eyes, look at his brother cry? In other words, they're all on the underside because nothing but some jigaboos. We are just original. I'll never be a criminal, lyrical African ritual. When I break it down like a ritual, individual, break it down, spit at you. Now it's like symbolic, and now I gotta do it. We break down right now with funky rap music. Now I'm in my living room, and I'm terrific. In other words, a ghetto scientific, I'm lifted and splifted and hieroglyphic, sort of like comedian. Walk across the street like I was pedestrian. When it comes to hip hop, yes, I'm a veteran. Chat up on the mic with it might have been like a medicine. Up on the mic and I deal with them. And the youth and the ghetto wanna build with them. Watch out for police, they be killing them. And it's time that we help all the children them. And Jacob on the chant and I real with them. I wanna tell on and again, give a meal to them. And King Selassie I with the skill for them. Mike Kumanzi a break with the skill for them. Fire!
Booyah! This is